If you've ever thought, I do good work, so that should be enough, this lesson is for you. A lot of smart professionals feel stuck for one painful reason. Their work is better than the way their work is understood. And when that happens, great work gets ignored, average work gets promoted, and people start telling themselves a dangerous story that work is all politics. In this lesson, you'll learn why workplace communication skills matter for career growth, and why communication is not separate from performance at work. It is part of how your performance becomes visible, trusted, and rewarded. Let's start with the mistake that costs people years of progress. Many professionals believe their work speaks for itself. It sounds noble. It sounds focused. It sounds like integrity. But in real organizations, work rarely speaks for itself. Work gets interpreted through updates, meetings, messages, context, timing, and clarity. If people cannot quickly understand what was done, why it matters, what changed, what risk was reduced, or what decision is needed, the value of the work stays trapped inside the work. And when value stays trapped, three things happen. First, people underestimate your contribution. Second, they trust you less than they should, not because you are less capable, but because they have less clarity. Third, they give more responsibility and opportunity to someone whose work is easier to understand. That is why this lesson matters for your career, not just for your communication style. Career growth is not only about doing the work. It is also about making the work legible to other people. Managers, peers, stakeholders, and leaders make decisions based on what they can understand and trust consistently. If your value is invisible, your results are harder to reward. This does not mean communication replaces competence. It does not. Communication is not a substitute for skill. It is a multiplier of skill. If the work is weak, communication can create a short-term impression, but it will eventually collapse. If the work is strong, communication helps that strength become visible and usable to other people. So the goal is not to become performative. The goal is to become clear. Here is the core idea for today. Communication is part of how performance becomes visible, trusted, and rewarded. I want to say that again because this is the foundation for the entire course. Communication is part of how performance becomes visible, trusted, and rewarded. When you understand that, you stop treating communication like an extra task at the end. You start treating it like part of professional execution. Now let's make this practical with a simple framework you can remember. I call it the visibility, trust, opportunity chain. Step 1, clear communication. Step 2, better understanding. Step 3, more trust. Step 4, more responsibility. Step 5, more opportunities. Let's walk through it. It starts with clear communication. Clear communication does not mean long explanations. It means people can quickly understand what happened, what matters, and what is needed. When that happens, you create better understanding. People stop guessing. They stop filling gaps with assumptions. They can see your thinking and your contribution more accurately. Better understanding creates more trust. Why? Because uncertainty goes down. When people understand your updates, your decisions, and your reasoning, they feel safer depending on you. They know what is happening. They know what to expect. More trust leads to more responsibility. This is where careers begin to change. Managers give important projects, not only to the most technically strong person, but to the person they trust to move work forward clearly. And more responsibility creates more opportunities, better projects, more visibility, more strategic work, stronger reputation. Promotion conversations happen differently when people already see you as someone who delivers and communicates clearly. That is the chain. Clear communication leads to better understanding. Better understanding leads to more trust. More trust leads to more responsibility. More responsibility leads to more opportunities. Now let's look at a realistic case. Imagine two professionals on the same team. Let's call them Alex and Jordan. Alex is technically stronger. Alex solves hard problems, catches edge cases, and produces high-quality work. But Alex often sends updates like this. Done. Fix the issue. Also clean some things. In meetings, Alex explains from the beginning, goes deep into technical details, and assumes people will connect the dots. Jordan is not as technically strong as Alex, But Jordan communicates more clearly. Jordan sends updates like this. The issue causing delayed customer confirmations is fixed. Root cause was a validation mismatch in the order flow. Impact: failed confirmations dropped to 0 in testing. Next step: monitoring for 24 hours before full rollout. In meetings, Jordan starts with the outcome, then gives only the context needed for the audience. After a few months, who looks more reliable to leadership? Usually Jordan. Not because Jordan is better in every technical sense, not because Alex has no value, but because Jordan makes value easier to see, easier to trust, and easier to use. This is the part many people resist emotionally. They hear this and think, so I need to become political. No, you need to become understandable. Clear communication is not manipulation. It is service. It helps other people make better decisions faster. It reduces confusion. It reduces rework. It reduces the cost of coordination. And that is exactly why organizations reward it. Now let's talk about what most people do wrong, because these mistakes are extremely common. The first mistake is saying, "My work speaks for itself." Your work does not attend the meeting. Your work does not write the update. Your work does not explain the trade-off. You do. If you do great work and communicate it poorly, you are creating unnecessary friction between your effort and other people's understanding. The second mistake is believing that explaining your work is politics. There is a big difference between self-promotion theater and professional clarity. Self-promotion theater is trying to look important. Professional clarity is helping people understand what happened, what changed, and what matters. One is ego. The other is execution. The third mistake is thinking communication is only for extroverts. It is not. The best workplace communication skills are not about being loud, charismatic, or constantly talking. They are about clarity, structure, timing, and usefulness. Quiet professionals can be exceptional communicators because communication quality is not volume. It is precision. So what does a better version look like in practice? It starts with a simple shift. Instead of thinking, "I finished the work," think, "Can the right people understand the value of this work quickly?" Instead of sending a vague update, send a useful update. Instead of explaining everything, explain what matters first. Here is a simple example. Weak version. Finish the analysis. There were a few issues, but it's okay now. Better version. Finish the pricing analysis for the Q2 launch. Main finding: the current discount plan reduces margin more than expected in the mid-tier segment. Recommendation: test a smaller discount in that segment before rollout. I can share the comparison table today. Notice what changed. The second version makes the work visible. It shows the business relevance. It reduces uncertainty. It helps the receiver act. That is what strong communication does. It moves work forward. Now I want to give you one action step for this week. Think about 3 recent situations where your work could have been communicated better. Maybe it was a project update. Maybe it was a meeting recap. Maybe it was an email. Maybe it was a message to your manager. For each situation, write one sentence answering this question. What was the value of the work, and did I make that value easy to understand? Do not judge yourself. Just observe patterns. You are not trying to become perfect in 1 week. You are training a new professional habit, making your work easier to understand. That habit compounds. Before we close, let's recap the key idea from this lesson. Great work gets ignored when the value stays invisible. Communication is not separate from performance at work. It is part of how performance becomes visible, trusted, and rewarded. Communication does not replace competence. It multiplies competence. And the framework to remember is the visibility trust opportunity chain. Clear communication, better understanding, more trust, more responsibility, more opportunities. In the next lesson, we're going to go one level deeper and answer the question that naturally comes next. How does communication actually build professional reputation over time? That is where we'll introduce the career trust loop, and it will help you understand why trust at work is less about charisma and more about repeatable communication behaviors. If you want career growth, start by making your value easier to understand. That is one of the highest leverage skills you can build.